So unfortunately, you must listen to espresso being made. So I apologize for that because that's right by the camera that's recording, and it is quite necessary at this time. You see, I've had a rough few days. A rough few days. And the debate this evening within myself was, do I get absolutely hammered or do I not? And as much as I would like to get absolutely hammered, it does me no good. That is not to say that I am part of that whole group of individuals right now who are denying alcohol, because I feel those people refuse vices, and vices allow the human species to get through the day to day. So, I don't know how I feel about the people turning around and going, alcohol's terrible, because, Anheuser-Busch made a terrible decision this week. But that's not what this is about. Plus, we're also past the 1:30 mark. So, haha, I can do this. As much as it may be hard for people to believe, I actually hate death. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. I hate losing people and animals that I love. I hate witnessing the animals in nature find the place that they would like to die, which is what the animals in nature do when they're allowed to get old enough without the detriment of our species. Kind of funny. Recently, I shouldn't say recently, because my concept of time is entirely relative, and time on a farm is much different from time for the rest of you. But we had a fox that had reached old age, and we didn't know what was wrong with her. We didn't know she had reached old age, because foxes normally don't. So, I was doing a search to make sure that there wasn't a reason that I had to put her down, because we knew it was a her. We knew it was a female. I knew this fox. I knew her for 7 years, which oddly enough is what their natural lifespan is in a healthy ecosystem. But doing a search for old age for foxes, and it said 3 to 5 years. With the caveat that they didn't actually know how long a fox could live in nature, because they died within 3 to 5 years of birth because of humans. But this wonderful lady, this old fox that I had known since she was a pup, because I had known her father since he was a pup, she died at the age of 7 from old age. She found her place. She knew where it was. She went there. She claimed it. She sat there for 2 days waiting. We brought her food. We brought her water, although she didn't need it because she was right by the brook. I was able to pet her, which is a hard thing to say when it comes to a human and a wild fox. You're not allowed to pet them, but she had no problem getting pet, but it was her time. She knew it. She found her place. She went there. But yeah, the question tonight was, get shit-faced or not? We lost a horse this week to colic. Most of you don't know what that is. Most of you don't know that horses are actually very fragile. Still lit. horses look strong, and they are strong in terms of muscles, willpower especially. But the smallest thing can kill a horse. And colic is a pretty surefire way for a horse to be done. We lost Bella this week. Beautiful horse. Fantastic. She was one of the best horses I've known, and I've been doing what I do, which is managing a horse farm, since 2010. It is now 2023. I've been doing this since I graduated college. I've known this horse since I graduated college. She was fantastic. She was great with kids. She was great with the other horses. She was great with every animal. She didn't even want to mess with the barn cats, which is asking a lot considering the rest of our horses. We have horses who enjoy scaring the barn cats just for the pleasure that it gives them. But she colicked. And when I say colic, it means that her intestines twisted. If you catch it early enough, they can just be untwisted with a reach. Literally a reach. You reach in and you untwist the intestines if it's that close to the end of their bowels. Otherwise, it requires surgery. Surgery that is incredibly expensive. Surgery that requires that you have a credit card on file, which was another thing that really infuriated us with this situation, was that a credit card wasn't on file, so they did not feel the need to be concerned about a horse that we were pretty sure was colicking, although she was not showing the signs of colic. But Bella is a wonderful horse. Was a wonderful horse. She was great. Her personality was incredibly interesting. And this is one of the reasons I have trouble going to church. As a Catholic, we're told that animals don't have souls. But as a Catholic, we're supposed to believe that God has his hand in everything. Which means that everything God created was created in God's image, right? We're created in God's image, but he also created everything else. It's a whole mess. That doesn't fit with any religion that currently exists and is practiced in mass. But, every religion that exists right now, we all argue over whose God's the real God, although it's all the same God. But I know this to be true. Every single living thing has its own personality. Every single living thing has a soul. I know this to be true. I've spent too much time outside of the realm of humans to not recognize these realities. It's funny because recently there have been several articles about, oh my God, did you know grass screams? It yells. Yes, yeah, the smell of fresh cut grass, the smell you get after you cut your lawn is a chemical scream. The grass is screaming because you've decapitated it. You've injured the grass. The grass releases a chemical scream. The grass is alive. Yeah, it looks better when you cut it, but you are, and this pissed off an ex-girlfriend of mine, you are curating your little tiny bit of nature. Fresh cut grass, that smell is a chemical scream. It's as if some little child is screaming bloody murder because they are horrifyingly injured. That's what the smell of fresh cut grass is. Why? Because grass is alive. Trees are alive. You all look at it and don't even think anything. I look at it and go, wow, she's still standing. She's doing real good. And yes, I do equate most things in the world as female. Why? Because without females, our species, everything, actually everything in the world would not exist without the female part of that particular species. Facts. They suck for people in the modern age. Sorry if I'm everywhere tonight. It's been a rough week. As mentioned earlier, we did lose Bella. She was an interesting horse. She had a white face. She got sunburned. But she was a quarter horse painted. A painted quarter horse. She had the last stall in the barn, the stall closest to the main door, the main entrance to the barn if you're actually going in the proper entrance, although there is no proper entrance to the barn. For 13 years, whenever there was inclement weather, whenever everything was terrible, she was the first face you'd see going into the barn. And you'd see that face in the strangest way. She'd have her head up over the wall of her stall. Just one eye and her face. Just, hey. Or she'd stand at the door to her stall, put her whole head out, and look around the wall at you going, yeah, what's up? She only ever used the proper door to the barn. We'd let her out. We'd have her in what we now call the west pasture. It's where we winter the horses. There are 3 separate entrances to the barn. She would go to the furthest one. She wouldn't need a lead rope. She wouldn't need anyone leading her. She would just walk to the specific entrance, walk in it, and walk right into her stall. She never caused trouble in the herd. She would still be in the field when there was a general breakout, back when we still used post and rail fence. She didn't cause any trouble. She was a great horse. She made it 27 years. 27 years old. She was from last century. She is the 15th horse that I have been there for when they pass over. The 11th we've put into the graveyard. The 12th that I've witnessed buried on the farm. And it never gets easy. It's never easy. You see, as much as my religion tells me these animals don't have souls, they do. As much as my religion tells me there's nothing special about them, they're just a beast, I know that to be a lie. They have their own individual personalities. There is not another horse in the world that was like Bella. Not another horse in the world. Same as there is not another cat in the world like Liberty, or Annie, or Jake, or Foxy, or Turkey, or any number of all the other animals that I've had to bury. I hate death so much. I know this is nothing like any of my normal videos. Normally I'm talking politics. Normally I'm sitting going, hey, I am so thankful that Fetterman is out of the hospital and doing better. He's not dead, which is a blessing. He's still not capable of doing the job of a senator. Or I sit here and I give you history lessons about how messed up one of the two factions is. But you guys only see one part of me, one side of me. Generally because I am very upset with things. And this week, in that regard, is no exception. I am incredibly upset with how things are going concerning the constitutional republic that no longer exists. But when it comes down to it, I can give two shits about any of yous. I just lost one of the brightest souls I've known in this world. One of the most gentle creatures I've ever known in this world. Because horses are very fragile creatures. And most of you will just sit there and go, it's just an animal. It's just a horse. It's just this. It's just that. You were exactly like Bella's original owner, who abandoned her. Just abandoned her. Said, oh yeah, this animal that I've been taking care of for 10 years. No. Who cares? Let's just stop paying for her stall. Let's just abandon her. And yeah. Person must have been a millennial, because that sounds like a very millennial thing to do. But most people would just turn around and be like, oh, it's just an animal. But most people do not deal with animals every day of their life. Most people do not see these animals every day of their life. Most people don't know them at an individual scale. None of you also have to deal with the repercussions that come with the other animals seeing you handle the animal that passed. There's a horse on the farm. His name is Teddy. He's also a wonderful horse. But he hates me. Why? Because Teddy paid attention when I had to deal with the last horse that died. Teddy saw what I had to do to move that horse. So Teddy thinks I'm the Grim Reaper. And to be fair, he might be right. He might be right. Because in my 13 years, I have been there for every single death that has happened to a horse. Been there when they died, and I'm the last person to ever see them. Really. I mean, when we lay them to rest, when we put them at the bottom of a very deep hole, I'm in the hole with them, making sure that they're not just thrown in a hole. And yeah, sure. There'll be people, again, it's just an animal. That's great. Think that all you want. You're allowed to think that. You're allowed to be human. But don't lump me in with you, because I think you're an inconsiderate piece of shit if you think that someone who has lost their animal hasn't lost a daughter or a son. You're an inconsiderate piece of shit. I recognize you do have to make the hard choice in that regard. I've seen people who have disregarded what is best for their animal for their own satisfaction. I've seen people who've killed their animal for their own convenience. It's like taking a family member off of life support. You want to do everything you can for them, but at a certain point, you have to recognize that what you're doing is actually doing more harm to them than good. And to stand there with family, because the people on my farm were family. This is not like, oh, that's a person I barely know. No. Every single boarder on this farm is family. And to see them have to make that choice. No, it's the right choice. And watch it crush them. And watch them blame themselves for doing the best thing for their animal. Blame themselves. Again, the whole problem I'm having tonight was whether or not to get absolutely fucking shit-faced. Or not. I know Bella's mother is getting shit-faced. For a second night in a row, getting shit-faced. Because she is devastated that she made the right call for Bella. And she blames herself for it. She hates herself for it. For making the right call. I've had to make those calls myself. Calls I didn't want to make. I don't like killing things. I hate killing things. But in my line of work, in order to keep the rest of our ecosystem safe, there are times where I have to. I hate it. Which is going to be hilarious because, maybe, I guess it'll be today. By the time this is posted, it'll be today. Maybe today will be the day that I go up to my local Catholic church and go to confession. And when I do that, priest is going to be in for quite an issue because I haven't been to confession since I've been confirmed. So, that's 2 decades? More than two decades. Jesus Christ. Oh shit, there's another sin. I just blasphemed. But I don't think there's a commandment that I haven't broken in my life. I've never killed another human being, but I have killed other animals. And not to survive. And again, you guys don't think anything of that. I mean, how many people just see a raccoon or a groundhog or a fox or a deer dead on the side of the road and just go, oh, nothing happened there. I drive past that, I'm like, oh my goodness, I am so sorry. My species is stupid. I've had to put down deer because of other humans. I've had to put down a lot of animals because of other humans. Because other humans hurt that animal and left that animal injured, in pain, and unable to survive. And that animal ended up on the property that I manage. I watched a state trooper scare a deer further into my property so they didn't have to shoot it. Because they didn't want to do the paperwork. And then they looked at me and said, oh, now it's your problem. Fucking staties. But I've never killed anything out of malicious intent. I've had to kill for mercy. And thankfully, it's only ever been animals. And I say thankfully because I couldn't imagine taking another human's life. Because I struggle enough killing animals. Animals that are in pain, that are injured. I struggle enough doing that. The only thing I can hope for is that when one of the trees around here finally gets revenge for the thousands of trees that I have killed here, that they just put me in a box and bury me with the fucking horses. Just put me in a box made out of the tree that killed me and bury me with the fucking horses. Something that most of you will never comprehend is your soul being tied to something. If that happens, you're lucky. And hopefully that happens when you have a family of your own flesh and blood. My soul is tied to land and animals. An ecosystem that was incredibly difficult to bring back to a proper balance. And even then, I had to fight other humans because of the damage they do to my ecosystem, because they're ignorant. They don't care the damage they do to their surroundings. By no means, don't equate me with the psychopaths who chain themselves to trees or commit acts of terrorism because, whatever excuse they want to give themselves. But my job, my existence, is to curate nature, is to make sure that this tiny slice of land that I live on and work is as healthy as it can possibly be for the animals that live on it. That includes all of them. The bald eagles, the turkeys when they decide to come through, and that is every 5 years or so the turkeys walk through. Rabbits, which are incredibly hard to sustain. A massive amount of foxes. Skunks, 4 types of hawk. 3 types of owl. Coyotes. Many types of rodent. 3 variations of snake. A whole mess of birds. A pair of gay geese. And yes, they are gay. They're 2 males that stick together and don't leave. They just stay around here. They never leave. It's just 2 guys. And they are protective of each other. They're gay. It's something that happens in nature. It's not an evil thing. In fact, if you're actually someone who believes in the Bible, you recognize that Jesus forgave Judas. His homosexuality was not an evil thing. Jesus accepted Judas for who he was. But let's just forget the actual teachings of Christ, which, depending on your religion, is either the Son of Christ, the Son of God, or just another prophet. Regardless, it's all the same God, but, let's pass over that. Yeah, not getting shit-faced was probably the better idea, but I really want to be shit-faced right now. It's just hard. I don't like death. I hate it. So I'm kind of hoping one of these trees finally gets its revenge. Because I've already lost a lot. I'm 35, and I've lost a lot because of death. But what I got left, I don't think I could handle losing. But, don't got a choice. That's why I'm kind of hoping one of these trees just gets its revenge. I try to get to confession tomorrow. I don't even know if I'm supposed to use Latin or I could just use regular English when I go to church. I don't know how Catholicism works anymore. I do know that if I walk into the doors of the church and I don't burst into flames, God has already forgiven me, so I don't know why I need to go to a human to ask for forgiveness. But at the same time, you cannot take communion without having confessed your sins. So in reality, I'm probably the most Catholic you'll ever meet, because I don't take communion because I haven't confessed my sins, whereas most Catholics don't go to confession on a weekly basis, yet take communion. I think there's a reason I'm still single. Yeah. Born in the wrong century. But I think I'm going to end it here. I'm going to finish this espresso that I made at the start of this whole mess. I'm going to take my bowl that I haven't touched this entire time, just massacre it while I'm finishing my espresso, and I think I'm going to go for a walk and go visit Bella. I mean, I had to walk patrols last night with my rifle to make sure that nothing decided to dig into her, because we do have coyotes here in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Kind of like we have mountain lions, although our state game commission wants to deny it, although they traded wild turkeys for mountain lions in the 80s. And I've seen big cats. But no, I'm a liar because the government says so. Like so many other things. The government says and you all believe. But it's been a while. I wanted to put something out there, and I really don't care to talk about politics right now, because it is a shit show. An absolute shit show. And I'm just hurting because I lost a friend. A friendly face. A wonderful soul. And the loss of that soul has done a lot of damage to my community, my people. And my people are the kind of people who know that animals have souls and personalities, and that they're individuals, just like every single human being. But, we're crazy people, apparently. But anyway, hey. Happy Zombie Jesus Day, if you've made it this far. If you did, for Christ's sake, what the hell are you doing with yourself? And, maybe I'll see you on the next one.